Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Facebook Live. I believe this is my first live for 2026. So, Happy New Year. Welcome to this live on dropping money struggle. So, just make sure I'm in the right place so I can see your comments because sometimes they don't always come up. Just going to jump out and jump back in again. How are you doing, folks? How are you feeling about 2026? It's been quite an intense time just recently in terms of the end of the year of the snake as we start, I think it's in February, moving into the year of the horse. What's been happening for you? Do you have a word for the year? My word is, what's two? Ta-da! So, welcome, folks. It's good to have you here. We're going to talk about money struggle and how it changes your life to drop it and drop it for good. You know, here we always talk about what it does it take to live from frequency. What does it take to create from consciousness? Understanding that it's not you that creates your outcome, it's the consciousness inside of you. So when you start working with your frequency, you're going to start creating amazing outcomes in your life. But I can guarantee you, in your ideal reality, there is no struggle, right? Things come to you easily. You manifest what you desire easily. You create the connections, you call in the clients, you experience what you desire easily. But let's talk about struggle because the collective loves struggle. In fact, I would go so far to say that people are actually addicted to it. One of the biggest money blocks that come across in my years of coaching is the belief that you have to work hard. Now, even if you're breaking down that statement, right, work is hard. Hardness has to be present in work. Right? And often there are so many themes, especially when I look back when I was last employed, the themes underneath that were feeling like I had to. So that's automatically sacrificing yourself in exchange for money. I did not like my job, so I spent a lot of time away from my desk. It went against my value proposition in terms of freedom. I was always asking people, would you like a cup of tea? Just so I could get away from my desk and go and do something, which made me feel like I had control over my circumstances. So it really went against my own value proposition. And I stayed in that role for quite a long time, advancing through the bank into different roles. But that experience taught me so much about money mentality and how people perceive that they have to make money. Like a lot of people spend their whole life tied to money, feeling like money has control over them. And when you feel like money has control over you, just like anybody, nobody wants to feel like there's something outside of them that has control over them. So it ends up feeling like a struggle, like I'm compromising myself in order to make money. I have to put my integrity to the side in order to show up to this job and do this work to create income. And that's why, obviously, the entrepreneur lifestyle was so attractive to me because it had so much freedom in it. And also, your income ability is uncapped. So, really, now working with coaches and entrepreneurs, shifting them out of struggle and into ease, the componentry behind this, it's quite extraordinary, folks, because a lot of people value struggle. A lot of people, whether you're consciously aware of this or not, a lot of people associate struggle with effort, right? And effort is not the same as struggle. Put an effort in, that doesn't have to be hard. But what happens is people associate the struggle with being noble. That if there is struggle involved, that it somehow makes you more worthy. I put a post up about this in the group the other day, which is about how people, if you have associated struggle with your value, then you're actually going to push away ease because you will feel like it's diminishing your self-esteem. Like if it's easy, that would what? Make you feel guilty? If it was easy, and that is a big one, folks. Often when I'm working with entrepreneurs and I'm like, and they're feeling like it's hard or it's a struggle to attract clients to make the money that they want, And when we're talking about shifting into a different timeline where it's easy, they're like, oh, who would I be if it's easy? Right? It really impacts somebody at a deep level because we're so addicted to the struggle. And to be fair, the external world kind of reinforces this, encourages it even. I want you to think back to kind of like the 1990s, even the 80s, 90s. Remember that movie was called American Psycho, right? And it was all about working out, being perfect, making the most amount of money. Remember that scene with the business cards and in the commentary in his head about everybody's business cards and whether his was the best or not? That level of it is attractive somehow to sleep for 3 hours a night, that it makes you better, right? Or more worthy somehow if you have sacrificed yourself for your job, right? Like there was a really weird kind of reflection on society at that time. And I want you to think about this for yourself, where in your life you have been encouraged to sacrifice yourself for your job. You have been encouraged maybe to stay later. You have been encouraged, a lot of people I've spoken to have felt like this, like maybe you've been asked to do more because you have shown that you're capable. So more gets directed to you. Maybe somebody's left their role and you've been asked to take over what they're doing as well. I want you to think about how you feel about your work, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're still employed. And I really want you to think, is there an element of sacrifice anywhere? This shows up for entrepreneurs in a different way. Staying up super late answering messages, going over time on calls, not having any boundary with your clients to be able to say, you know what, I actually need to sleep, right? Not having any boundary when you're on holiday, feeling like you're letting them down if you're on holiday and resting. Right? It's ways that this struggle, sacrifice, nobility kind of dynamic is playing out. And you need to smash it in order to go to the next level. Because in your ideal reality, you are not struggling. And also, too, if your subconscious has been imprinted with money equals struggle, you're going to need to shift that in order to make more of it. Because your subconscious is going to go, I don't want to struggle, right? And again, remember, emotion is the language of the subconscious. So, with the subconscious, if the subconscious perceives money as a problem, as a threat, as a struggle, it's going to do a great job of trying to help you by getting rid of it. Right? This is often where entrepreneurs need to break that dynamic as well. Like if they're making more money, that they're spending exactly the same amount of money, they're not actually saving it, they're not living from overflow, because maybe that would be too easy. Maybe that would be too satisfying. Maybe that would be too fulfilling, because this underlying paradigm of there needs to be struggle in order for me to be worthy. I have to struggle in order to demonstrate to myself, to maybe like your parents from being a child, to the authorities around you, that you are worthy. And this addiction is rife, folks. Look, you don't need to go far to see people addicted to struggle. And I know you might be listening to this and thinking, what are you talking about, Rebecca? Like there is actually another reality where you get to create what you desire from ease. Yes. And I tell you what, folks, it's when I figured this out and I applied it to my business, oh my goodness, what a difference does it make? What a difference does it make to be the person who's like making it hard versus the person who's making it easy, by shifting your perspective, by changing who you're being, by doing the identity work, which is what we're going to be doing in the Fuck Yes Money Mastermind. Because most of the time, because you're working with your subconscious, most people are trying to do it from the rational mind and going, yes, I want it to be easy. But then, of course, they haven't aligned it the whole way through and it's still presenting as hard. A big part of this, of course, is actually having mastery over your own emotions. If you are still in a place where you feel like money has control over how you feel, like you look at your bank account and your bank account makes you feel a particular way, it means that money has control over your emotions, right? And until you get to a place where you can actually look at the numbers and be completely neutral, you still haven't mastered who you're being in relationship to money. And when you have, you're going to feel a lot more neutral, and the struggle is going to disappear because your pulse isn't going to get hijacked when you see no money in your account. And your pulse is also not going to get hijacked when you see more money come in. Right? You want big money coming into your bank account to be just as neutral as having no money in your bank account. In fact, I often say to people, until you can get to a place where you are neutral either way, money still has control over you. Right? And that's why, like I said, money is actually an amazing guide. A lot of people are like, oh, money is the root of all evil, etc. And it's kind of like, actually, money, it can be one of your spirit guides if you allow it, because it's such a mirror. It's kind of like sex and money. They're two things which, and sex is even more intimate because it's with your physical body, but money being a little bit more external, they are both very potent in terms of being a mirror. They're going to show you stuff about yourself if you care to look. But if your subconscious is still perceiving money as a threat or a struggle, because maybe you looked at your parents or your grandparents and they experienced struggle, and you have to remember, folks, right? Like my grandfather was in World War II. That's not that long ago, right? That we have been exposed to the stress from the generations, the epigenetics of having a family lineage that was exposed to that much stress. Right? What were they primarily focused on? Survival. And being grateful for survival. But often in those circumstances, survival was definitely connected to struggle. And we can imprint this just by observing it. So this is why taking ownership of your own money story is so important. Because otherwise, you're going to have this conflicting, it's more noble to suffer versus, but I want it to be easy. And bringing those two things into alignment and inside of yourself where it can get to be easy, where you have dropped the struggle because you have unhooked from the collective consciousness that says that it's good to struggle, because a lot of the collective relies on that. Right? If everybody turned around and said, screws this, I'm going to make money from consciousness, I don't want to do it from my goddamn job, right? What would happen in terms of hierarchy, in terms of structures, in terms of control? But you're here and you get to be extraordinary by understanding that it is the consciousness within you that creates, and then you get to take your power back from the external world, bring it back to yourself, and start activating frequency inside of you, which attracts incredible outcomes because you know how to shift the frequency like that. Remember, folks, your frequency is made up of your thoughts, your belief system, your self-perception, your perspective, your focus, your level of certainty. Once you understand all these things and you're operating from a different frequency, and you can do that without needing to see reality to change, what does that mean? It means that you are emotionally independent of needing to see it change. That you've got to a place where you're good with having it and good without having it, like truly. Because you know how like the universe can see your energy field. It can tell if you're lying to yourself, right? Like it knows who you are when you're being by yourself. When you're literally at a place, which I call the kind of the God zone, right? Where you're neutral. I'm good. I know who I am. I don't need money in order to make myself feel better, right? When you're in that place, you're completely detached, completely neutral. It's when you get everything you want, right? Because you're demonstrating that you already have it. And there is a key concept that you need to understand, which is the universe can't give you what you don't have. Right? The universe can't give you what you don't have. And you might be sitting there going, what? What are you talking about? It means you have to be the frequency inside of yourself first, i.e., I am rich, know it, mean it, have it feel through the subconscious, like the subconscious is on board with that too, and then reality is literally going to reflect that to you. This is how consciousness works, folks. If you say, I am rich, and you have run that all the way through, you're going to get reality reflecting that back to you. If you say, I am poor, and you've run that all the way through, right, your mind, body, spirit, the three planes of creation, which is mental, spiritual, and physical, right, you will have that reflected back to you. But what is amazing about this is realizing how much power you have in relationship to reality. People talk about bending reality, which is true because that's what it looks like is happening, but you're not bending reality, right? You're shifting yourself. The only way you are going to bend reality, to have money fall out of the sky, to have it be easy, to have it feel amazing, is by shifting it inside of yourself. And this is what I love, 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 love about creative consciousness, about the quantum mechanics, is it's all about you, right? And allowing it to be all about you, that it does get to be easy. And I'm sure you have seen it. And I've had people say that to me myself. It's easy for you. And I'm like, yeah, because I made it easy. I decided. And this is the thing. I just actually literally yesterday I was talking about this over in Wealth Codes, which is my broadcast channel, about how you get to be a person who is making difficult things easy, right? Because life is always going to present a challenge, but your power is in your ability to respond to it. And if you're like, no matter what happens, I'm going to figure it out. No matter what happens, I'm going to back myself. No matter what happens, like, because it's a game, right? It's like, oh, what's the universe going to present today? Who do I need to be in order to find the solution to whatever is presenting? Who do I need to be in order to find, and that is always going to come from frequency. Einstein said it himself. You can't solve the problem from the same energy that it was created from the same level. You have to go higher. This is why he would spend time daydreaming to allow the ideas to drop in. And they did. Guess what that's called? That's called your ability to be able to communicate with the divine, with consciousness. Einstein was brilliant at allowing consciousness to move through him to give him the answers. You get to be that person too. Einstein was just good at creating space for it. He showed up for it. Because it's so easy for people to think, I have to have a certain level of intelligence to create the success that I want. And this reinforces the struggle. This is where people go, oh my God, I'm going to need to go and study for X amount of years in order to be able to create this outcome that I want. No, you don't. I remember talking to somebody who was brilliant at making recipes and health food, etc. And I said, why don't you start, writing up your recipes and doing some health coaching? And she was like, oh no, I need to go and study for 4 years before I could do that. And I was like, no, you don't. Right? Again, conviction is more important than knowledge, folks. Your conviction is more important than knowledge. This is how I went from like 0 to 60 grand in my first year in business. Because I had conviction. I had no business plan, no projections, no idea really. Even though I'd worked in banking, and people would be like, oh yeah, that's not the same as showing up and knowing how to market yourself. That's not the same as figuring it all out, right? Completely different skill set. Some of it crosses over, but a small percentage. Doing your bookwork is not a huge part of your business. It's a part of your business. So understanding that your conviction, your certainty in the unseen, that's what's going to help you start creating this life where it gets to be easy. Now you have to comprehend, i.e., realize that it's available to you in the first instance. There is a reality right now where you are living that is probably at least 100 times easier and more relaxed than your current reality. Because what happens for people, right? People have shitty situations that happen. Even how you feel about the past is impacting your frequency right now. Right? Until the past can feel light, until everybody's actually forgiven, because in your ideal reality they are, that heaviness is impacting your frequency. That's impacting the results that you get. That's impacting how quickly you manifest. You want to speed things up, you'll go for being light. You want to speed things up, forgive everybody. And again, I appreciate that's not always easy, right? I'm not intending to be glib there, because we need to embrace our humanity, but we also need to be very aware of the frequency that we're running. This is why one of the first places to start too is you can't talk like your old identity. You can't focus on what's wrong and manifest what you want. In fact, anytime you feel bad, you're focusing on what you don't want. From the level of mind, I appreciate sometimes the body is like, bring something up as a trigger to show you this needs to be healed. But you can trust your intuition is going to do that. The infinite intelligence that moves through you knows exactly where you're at, it knows exactly what you need, and knows exactly what your desires are. In fact, it's probably been trying to show you how to create them. If you're in this container, especially if you're listening to this, especially start walking around understanding that reality is talking to you through other people. Consciousness is talking to you through other people. Somebody recommends a book, like you hear somebody say, oh, you should check out this book, and then you hear it again 24 hours later from somebody else. That is consciousness speaking to you. If you feel a resonance, especially even from this, that is consciousness talking to you. Because we're all connected, right? So understanding that when you are moving throughout the world, there is the unseen that is rooting for you. Like the whole company of heaven wants to see you win. It wants to see you live a life which is beyond illusion. Because God is beyond illusion. And when you think like God, and when you have God's perspective, which is the correct perspective, you will always experience miracles. Your frequency will go through the roof. You will feel good. You will know that no matter what happens, no matter how bad it gets, you're going to handle it. Because you are consciousness. And you are having this experience. It's kind of part of the game, right? And the question always is, who am I choosing to be in relationship to this? It's a very powerful question. You want to be sure to write that down. Hi, Mary. Hi, Ingrid. Hi, Kylie. How you doing, lovely? Hi, Trina. I hope you're feeling better, lovely. Hey, Victoria. So, understanding that there's probably parts of you that have been addicted to struggle. The other place that I have seen this play out too, folks, is in the healing journey, right? Like if you have had negative experiences happen to you in the past, and then you heal out of those experiences, what you still need to do is shift your identity into a place where there is no struggle anymore. Let that land for a hot second. It's huge. Because being in any kind of trauma, unprocessed emotion, which is what trauma is, it's painful, right? It's awful. You look at reality and you're like, oh my God, this sucks. It hurts. It's painful. So you start on your healing journey and you heal yourself. What needs to happen still is to jump into reality where it's easy. Because maybe you've healed, but life's still a struggle. That is a hangover from your old identity. You still haven't jumped into a new reality where, yes, it is fucking easy for me. Yes, it all comes to me. Yes, it's just getting better and better and better because there's still part of you that's addicted to the struggle, thinking that the struggle makes it worth it, or the struggle is more noble, or the struggle somehow makes you more worthy. You think about it, everybody loves a rags to riches story. Everybody, like society's like, oh my God, or they love a story where somebody's like slaved away for years and years and years and years, and then they've made it. People don't really love it if people make money instantly like that, right? If you and somebody else you knew started business at the same time and they're making like 500 grand and you're like at 20, you're going to be looking at them and thinking, what the actual? What have they got that I don't have? They're living in a timeline where it's easy. They have figured out how to let go of their attachment to struggle. And it's not just with money, right? It's with everything. Because when you shift that around money, you're also shifting it in relationships. And where are your relationships? I don't know, with your clients, right? With your partner, with your family, where you're still in a dynamic where there's struggle present, it will keep on perpetuating itself. And this is why doing the identity work, where, yeah, it's easy for me and I'm good with that. Because what happens when we go, okay, what does actually, am I lazy? Is this cheating? Is it okay? People aren't going to like me because it's really easy for me, right? These are the kind of stories that can bubble up, like literally feeling guilty that it is easy, which is so ironic because we have just been brainwashed so much by reality that it has to be hard, that it's noble to suffer, that you do need to sacrifice yourself, that you should be working until 8 o'clock at night, that you should give. Big part of the entrepreneur journey is to shift into feminine energy to be an excellent receiver. No, I don't have to give you a pound of flesh. I'm just looking for an equal exchange of energy. And if you are valuing what you are giving, then you're going to receive that value. If you're not valuing what you're giving, you're going to receive it and probably still feel like that's not enough. I'm not making enough. I'm not creating enough. Again, I am broke versus I am rich. Because a rich person always attracts more. Have you noticed that too, right? Like rich people get gifted things for free a lot of the time. Come to this event. Come and experience this, right? It's on us. It's from our company to you, right? It just only gets better and better and easier. But what's it going to bump up against? Your capacity to be able to receive. Am I allowed for it to be easy? Yes. Am I allowed for huge sums of money to come into my reality without having to work hard for it? Yes. But you have to choose to shift into that timeline. You have to choose to let go of the frickin' struggle. And the struggle belongs to an old identity. And yes, that identity is perfect because it's got you to where you are now. But you also need to know what it takes to step into a completely different way of being. Where money feels like breathing. Think about it. You don't think about breathing all day long, do you? It just happens. That's where you want to get to in your relationship with money. It's just showing up for you. Now, of course, right, there is an alignment process, which is spiritually, mentally, and physically. But if you're aligned, it does feel very effortless. You will know what to do, and you won't have any fear on doing it, and you will do it, and you will create amazing outcomes because you're a frequency match for it being easy. Right now, you might be recognizing that you're a frequency match for struggle. And it's really tricky too with struggle because what can happen is we end up thinking that there's something wrong with us, and there's not, right? It's just a dynamic that is playing out, and you can shift that dynamic so you live in a reality where it is easy. Because that's what humans truly want. I mean, I've known that for the longest period of time. Even before I started doing this work, I think it was like a childlike sense of wonder that I had as a kid that the world is kind of magic, or you are the magic, right? So, when you're a kid and you're using your imagination, or even you're playing with your dolls and you're just in the present moment, you're enjoying yourself, you're relaxed, you're having fun, it gets to be like that, but with you making money. Right? I'm enjoying myself, I'm being creative, I'm having fun, I'm not worried about money. I'm not sitting there going, have I done enough in order to receive? You just are. You're playing the game of life, and money gets to come into reality. Because often what happens, right, the brain goes, well, if I want to make more money, how am I going to do that? When you're working with consciousness, you don't ask that question. The question you're asking is, show me. Now, this is why people get hung up on the struggle factor as well, because they think, oh my God, it's going to take so much to create that. If I want to create that kind of money, oh my God, it's going to be so difficult. Again, injection of struggle. When you're working with consciousness, your consciousness can literally show you what to do, step by step by step. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be difficult, but you have to be willing to take the action steps, because of course action is required. But if you knew that it had already been created, right, it's not something that you have to create from scratch, because this is what happens, right? It's already been created spiritually and energetically. That is the infinite intelligence. It's already held for you. So you don't have to create it from scratch. You have to align with it. You have to do the work of lining yourself up with the version of you that already has it. Right? And again, instead of thinking, oh my God, it's going to take me a long time. No, nothing is ever wasted. Where you're at in your journey, you already have a lot of gifts, skills, and talents. Maybe you're just not running the frequency, but once you do, it does get to be easy. I had a call with a lovely lady yesterday, and we were talking about starting her business. And she was like, oh, but I don't think people are buying. I don't know where people that would buy my coaching services, because that's the reality. That's what's gone out into her field, and she's made it true because she's got evidence, right? So she needs to shift into a different reality where, of course, people pay her. Now, what's hard for the ego is the ego goes, I need proof and I need it immediately. And if I don't get it immediately, I don't believe it. And this is where people end up shooting themselves in the foot, because they can't hold the frequency in the absence of reality shifting. And you think about it, like, reality is compelling, yes? And this is what humans do. They go, if it doesn't happen instantaneously, it's not working. You think about all the matter that reality is, and you're not even willing to hold the vibration so things can actually shift and assimilate to actually bring you the outcome that you want. And this is why ego management is a huge part of creating what it is that you desire. Because if you can't outsmart your ego, you're never going to be able to have the power to shift reality. Because the ego is always going to shoot you in the foot. It's always going to say, this isn't working. I can't see what it is that I want, because you're giving your power away to physical reality. Remember, reality is like 1%, folks. All the light spectrum, your eyes can only see 0.0035%. So less than 1%. What you are seeing, your eyes are interpreting electrically and turning it into an image in your brain. If you had the ability to see life correctly, you would see it as vibration. You would see all the other light frequency, which I often refer to as heaven, right? You'd be able to see your angels and guides, because they're in a different frequency. They're in a higher frequency. This is how you make the veil between yourself and the other disappear. This is how you start accessing your full power, because you let go of your attachment to your 3D reality. It is the first lesson in A Course of Miracles. What you see is not real, which means that you are giving your power away to what you see. You want to see life almost like a game. Wow, this is like a prop or a set. All these people are characters in my story. I get to play this game and I get to shift, right? I get to go, cut, change scene. This scene is what it looks like now. This is me having the relationship, the dream house, the holidays, the money. I get to create that now because you're the director, you're the writer, you're the producer, you're the actor. You. People don't realize how much power they have. And then they don't know how to use it correctly or effectively. And then they look at other people and go, why the hell is it so easy for that person? Because you haven't done the self-mastery required to create from consciousness. You're still living in a reality that is connected somehow to struggle. You still think when shit things happen that they are more powerful than you are. You don't respond with your infinite power. You give your power away to the circumstance. And therefore you show life that life is more powerful than you, rather than you showing life that you're more powerful than it. And this is, for a long time, folks, I was in the struggle in my business, and I was still making crazy money, but I was still in the struggle. This is hard. This is difficult. Doing business from a place of ease is so much more enjoyable, so much easier on your central nervous system. You can get off the roller coaster and just start enjoying life because you know that you're going to handle anything that comes your way, because you know what it is to be the frequency that solves the problem every single time. Every time there's a challenge in your life, it's an invitation. It's an invitation to an upgrade. Like the universe is like saying to you, who are you going to be? Are you going to be your old self who considers this a struggle? Or are you going to be your new self? What are you choosing? So if you want to make your business a million times easier and to be the frequency that attracts what you desire because you understand consciousness, you understand what it is to create the outcomes that you prefer. You want to be the person who's mastering their ego so nothing's going to stop you from getting the results that you want, because you know what it is to meet doubt and shift it, to meet uncertainty and shift it. And message me for the Fuck Yes Money Mastermind. We actually start today. It's just an intro call. But if you're interested, send me a direct message and I can send you the links. I think the investment still, I haven't increased the prices, so the investment starts from, I think it's $562 a month. No brainer in terms of cracking the code, not just for your business, but for life. Right? What does it take for life to be easy? Right? All the things to be easy. You think about how this plays out in relationships. Most people have a backlog of awareness where relationships are difficult. If you don't neutralize that, it's going to perpetuate it. Right? It's going to continue for life to be difficult. So you want to collapse that so your relationships are easy, they are harmonious. And yes, I know that's a nice thing to hear from the level of mind, but yes, it does need to go all the way through the subconscious. Right? When the subconscious is on board, when the subconscious is like, yes, it is easy, you will see it reflected in your reality. The only reason that it's not easy at the moment is because your subconscious is not on board. Your subconscious is still perceiving relationships as a threat, or money as a threat, or money is difficult, or success as a struggle. And it's time to shift out of that dynamic. Truly. This is very much 2026 and beyond energy. People are going to figure this out more and more to create money from consciousness. Make sure you're stepping in now. So from 6 months from now, your reality looks completely different. You're attracting opportunities effortlessly. You don't have to do all the things because you understand it's about who you're being. Like, why does manifestation not work for people? Because this is what they do. They do a technique for 10 minutes a day, and then they spend the rest of the day not being the person who has it. Right? They're spending, oh, I've got something happening in my hair. I have to tell you this story, folks. Like when I first started developing my intuition, I used to get a lot of sensations of like tapping on the side of my head, and I can feel something happening on the top of my head right now. So I'm like, ooh, I have to investigate that. But often to start with, I was like, oh, they're probably telling me to listen, right? Like, hello, is anybody in there? But yeah, I'll tune into that afterwards. It's cool. So, to be a person, right, who's really making it easy for yourself, it requires inside out. There's nothing out there. In fact, you would serve yourself well to stop looking at life and start looking in here. This is what is going to create your reality. Harnessing this, being the person who is going to take ownership for who am I being? Am I being the person that no matter what reality presents, I'm going to make it easy? Because that's how powerful I am. Because I know there is a frequency that holds the solution to this problem, even if I can't see it in this moment. Am I going to be the person who holds the frequency in the absence of seeing my desire? Because I understand it's already happened energetically, and I'm not going to look at my bank account and hold myself to ransom and go, it's not there, so it obviously is not working, which is like shooting yourself in the foot. Learning this, folks, so you can be the person in 6 months' time who is like, my life is extraordinary. I've allowed it to be easy. I'm aligning with being a person who's let go of the struggle and is allowing life to give to me. Of course, I'm willing to take action. You've all done that already, right? You know how to take action. Take action like all the time. But guess what? What frequency are you taking that action from? Are you taking from, life doesn't really work out for me, this is hard? We start taking action from, life is amazing, this is easy. From the outcome already, you are going to experience crazy results. It is an identity shift. Hugely powerful. Changed my life completely. I can tell you, on the other side of struggle, it is beautiful. I invite you all to come if you feel any form of struggle in your life, choosing consciously and saying to your subconscious, I'm stepping into a life of ease, right? And then doing the inner work to get aligned with that, you will love your life more than you ever thought possible. You'll attract the clients, the money will be a no-brainer, relationships will be easy, you will have so much clarity, you will be able to enjoy your life more. And beautifully, that is literally the way the universe has designed it for you. Right? Literally. It's supposed to be blissful, folks. If it's not, your ego is having a party. It's holding you to ransom. It's telling you shit like it doesn't work. So therefore reality just responds with, it's not working. Let me give you another thing to show you it's not working. Because that's how much power you have. Where you place your attention is where you are placing consciousness. One of the best places to place your attention is on your limitless self. The version of you that holds all the answers. On your connection with source energy, on higher frequencies. Anything that's going on in your life right now, there is a solution to. Anything. Like I've always known that about the universe, right? Two things, right? It should feel like magic. Feel like magic, right? It's not magic, it's actually quantum physics. But it should feel like it. I think I've always had that ever since a child. And if that's speaking to you, pay attention to that. That deep down knowing that it gets to be like that, right? That it gets to be that simple, that you are that powerful, that you could literally have a suitcase fall out of the sky. This is how people use quantum physics to win the lottery. Not that you should start with that, because often for people, they can't see that there's often a lot of hopelessness in that, because they're using it as one of many million ways to create money. But to be the person who's like, money flies in from all directions, right? From my business, people give it to me, opportunities. You're just a magnet for it. To be running that frequency, to be living that reality. And once upon a time, I kind of, you lose your faith a little bit and you kind of think, oh, maybe it's not possible. But I can tell you, from having done the work to create it, living in a place where life feels like magic, it's the best. Chef's kiss, right? So knowing that intrinsically as a child, if that resonates with you, that it's going to be speaking to the part of you that knows that you can manifest what it is that you want. You are simply not operating in a way to get the outcomes that you're looking for because you haven't got the componentry in the right place in terms of the consciousness. Anyway, folks, has anybody got any questions? Hi, Jerry. How are you, lovely? Hi, Vivian. How you doing? Has anybody got any questions for me? Because now's a good time. I hope you are all doing well. I hope you're feeling excited about 2026. If anybody would like to speak to me about the Fuck Yes Mastermind, let me have a wee chat about that. What are we going to do? We're going to do the deep work of shifting identity. You're going to become a person who moves into so much certainty. You're going to be able to be the person who, anywhere there's any doubt that comes into reality, you're going to be like, I've got this. Even if it looks like things are going sideways, you're going to be like, no, I've got this. Because I know how to access the frequency that has the solution. Even if I can't see it, even if my central nervous system is getting hijacked in this minute because it looks bad, I've got this. You know what that does to your body, folks? To calm you, to keep you in a place of neutrality. You're going to let go of your attachment to money. You're going to let go of feeling like money's got power over you. You're going to become the person who knows that you're more powerful than money. You're going to learn how to call it in at will because you're choosing to be the person where it is easy for money to come in. This is where people blow up their businesses, right? Because they're shifting into that frequency. And life has no choice but to reply because it is quantum mechanics. You don't understand, folks, that you are getting what you're getting because of who you're being. And if there is doubt, if there is self-attack, if there is judgment, you want to collapse that and shift into life is truly amazing. I am incredibly powerful and I always create the outcomes that I want. That's what's available to you. But of course, that involves a choice. That's what we're doing in the Fuck Yes Money Mastermind. Activating the power of your consciousness to create your outcomes. Because what happens is the mind, right? The mind thinks, I'm doing it. Hate to misinform you. It is consciousness that creates through you. That doesn't mean that you're not taking any ownership, right? Of course not. But letting go of all this pressure that you put on yourself to perform or to be perfect and to allow the universe to support you in the creation. How does it do that? By following your intuition. Now, if it's true intuitive guidance that's coming from a place of clear, no fear clarity, you're always going to get amazing outcomes. If you're trying to access your intuition, but you're doing it from low frequencies, it's going to be way more difficult. But I'm literally going to show you how to do it in a way that guarantees that you get results every time. And it's an embodiment process, folks. You're literally becoming a different person. It's like putting on a new coat, and that coat becomes part of you until you get to a place where it just kind of disintegrates and you're a new person. We have our first call this afternoon at 1 o'clock. So if anybody's interested, send me a message. And in the meantime, folks, unless anybody's got any questions, hey Amanda, do you have a great trick to quiet the ego's voice? No. Right? Like quieting the ego, yes, I have modalities that I teach people, but that's the process of self-mastery, right? One of the most effective things in my containers that I offer is when people come and tell me how their brain is thinking, like this is what's wrong or this is what's happening. One of my good skill sets is to help them to see the correct perspective. And what happens over time, right? Because I'm operating from a certain frequency and people in my containers are being held in that frequency, right? And then when they come in, they go, oh, my brain's doing this, or oh, this is the way I feel. And I can help them to see the correct perspective. It's kind of like learning how to ride a bike, right? Eventually, they get it for themselves. And they're like, I've got this, right? I've got this. I can do it for myself. And that is so hugely powerful. So there's no one single-handed trick, because I think that is misleading in terms of just offering you something. Because it's not just about a single technique, right? It is about becoming a person whose spirit is stronger than their ego. But great question, Cindy. Hey everybody, so I think we're good. I'm sending you so much love. I trust 2026 has started with a hiss and a roar, or maybe it should be a canter or a gallop, given it's moving into the year of the horse. And I'm sending you all so much love. You know where to find me on Messenger. In the meantime, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I'm sending you so much love. Bye.